Hey, thank y'all so much for coming in and tuning into the show. We have a wonderful guest here on today. Actually, married couple. So you guys are always asking questions about how do we do these? How do we do this relationship thing? Maybe you're a newlywed watching and you need some advice. Maybe you're getting ready to get married, or you are married, but you just need some type of encouragement and advice. So we have another lovely couple sitting alongside of us today to let you guys know the real deal. So they are very transparent. I'm excited to have them here today. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So if you guys could let our audience know on a personal and business level who you are.
Okay. You want to go first, babe?
You can go.
I am Anthony Robinson. I am married to this beautiful woman right here by the name of.
I'm Chrisanne Robinson. Hi, everyone.
And what I do from a business perspective is multimedia content production and consultation. Pretty much, I produce podcasts and stuff you see on YouTube. So that's what I do. And
Well, me, I work in public health. I'm in the administration part of public health. That's currently where I am. I have been working in administration for the last 15 years since I've been out of college. So, yes, that's what I do.
she make us sound old. Last 50 years.
Awesome. Now, let me ask you something. If y'all see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes. So,
Okay.
It's
when
all
you
goody.
guys were single, what measures did you take to pursue love?
I think well, let me speak for me. When I was single, I did not necessarily take any measures to pursue love. I For me, love found me. I We've been together for almost 13 years, and when we first got together, I did not think it would be this kind of longevity actually because I was so young and I was not like looking per se for like love. Love just came and found me, and it I think because it was so free and authentic, that's maybe what kept it going this long. Because, like I said, I was not looking. I wasn't trying to pursue love. I figured, hey, it'll get here when the time was right, so to speak, and I guess that was the time in.
Wow.
Looks
Okay.
like you was right.
Right. What about you, Tom?
So my pursuing of love, I can't really necessarily say it was love because at a young age I didn't really know what love was. I didn't even know who I was. So pursuing love looked a lot different and a lot toxic than so it was excuse me, it was I think my pursuing of love back in the day was more so of me trying to find out how to love myself, you know. And that journey caused me to look for that in the wrong things. I would put my confidence, I would put my ego, my I guess my pride into things that necessarily didn't get me in the right places and with the right women. I'll say that. But
Come
yeah.
on and tell it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, a lot of fornication. I don't know how I don't know how real you want to get, but
We want to get real because
yeah,
see,
yeah, a
this
lot
is
of
what
that.
helps people out, and it's
Yeah.
no shame in
Yeah,
the
okay,
in
okay,
the game.
okay. So a lot of sex. We're just gonna say sex. We're gonna be real. A lot of sex. And in that, see, that's where my mind was. I found um or I thought that that was intimacy. I thought that that was the way to go because that's what was happening around me, So, and the women I chose in, to be in a relationship with, it was just based on that and, just being young too, testosterone just raging, just really, looking to get off, excuse my language. But, it's those type of things. And, just finding my confidence in sleeping with women, was a measurement of self-love for me at that time. So, it again, it caused a lot of toxicity, and the relationships I was in back in the day, I didn't have a solid foundation because I didn't know myself for one. So I would put my confidence and my trust. Um, I'm not saying you shouldn't put your trust in people, but you shouldn't do it before you learn who you are. So I think that's what I did back in the day, when it came to pursuing love. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, and while we're on that topic, there's a lot of women who think that sex equates to, and not just sex, but good sex equates to, this guy is going to be my husband,
Mm.
or since I'm putting it down, I'm getting cool points for
Right.
him to be with me. As a man, did that ever equate, like you sleeping around with a girl, did that ever equate to, well, that might be my girlfriend, or was it just to get off?
I mean, I think it was different for like different women, for me, I had the mindset to get off, but certain women would have, certain qualities I would like and I would try it out. But sex would ruin it, because it initially exposed what I really wanted, So I would get off and then I'm like, nah, this ain't the one. And it wasn't really because she was bad or anything like that, but it's just I lost the passion to pursue her because I got what I wanted. So um it was different for different women. I think I only been in two other relationships before my now wife, and one was high school, I think, a crush or something like that. And then another one was a pursuing of her to get over the last relationship. So it, that type of thing. But the other, others were just purely lust and just looking to, have sex and stuff like that.
And then, Christiane, what about you? Because, as a woman, our emotions can sometimes get involved when we open up that part of ourselves. So, did you ever equate sex with a previous partner to, this might be the one?
Um, can I say that? I probably can say that I have thought that for a minute, but I will say that even though sex may have been involved, I never thought that, okay, we were just together. I may have thought that that person could possibly be the one, but I was never like, okay, we're in a relationship just because we're having, sex. A lot of times I think things could get misconstrued with women thinking, oh, well, we're in a relationship without that being stated, without that person saying to you, hey, I would like to exclusively be in a relationship with you. So it becomes, oh, well, just because we're having sex and he's calling me up or whatever, that's what it was. Or that's what it is, or that we're in a relationship, and that's not necessarily so. But for me, um, coming back to your question, yes, to a certain extent, I thought that, okay, well, this may be the one, but not necessarily that this is the one, or he's saying that I'm his one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there
Well,
was
she different.
no, yeah, there was no strong confidence in it, right?
Right.
I,
It
I
wasn't
got
stated to me that, okay, I want you to be my girl.
you.
I
Yeah.
just knew that we were just talking, me and those people. Like with my husband, he exclusively asked me to be his girlfriend for us to go
Wow.
together, if that makes sense.
See, that's important right there,
It
because a
is.
lot a lot of people go off of assumptions. Well, we're having dates, we're going out to eat, we're having sex, we must go
Yes.
together, and you might find out the wrong way. So
Yeah.
Yes.
No, no, I'm gonna be honest. It
that,
was it was it was plenty of women who I've told like, hey, and I wasn't being facetious, or I wasn't being what do you call that? Trying to trick them into, getting what I want. I would tell them, look, I'm not looking for a relationship. Straight up, you know, straight up tell 'em. They s- they still chose to open the legs. And because I pursued that, and then they thought that we was in a relationship. No, I'm still not interested in a relationship, and I think well, I can't speak for women, but I just felt like some was trying to change my mind with that, with sex being in regards, or regarding the sex, but nah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I'm glad both of y'all answered that, because there's a lot of misconceptions, and with these young girls and young guys, like, I want them to know. And so thank you for that, because yeah, I just want them to know. So I appreciate y'all for sharing that with us.
Right.
Oh,
Because
no problem.
especially for like, the younger people, like you said, back in high school days, that was the ultimate we together. Once that happens, once they
Yeah,
have sex,
yeah,
then you know what I'm saying, it's like, hey, it's me and you exclusive. Because a lot of
right.
times it'd be their first one. So
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. And at one point when I first started out, I thought that was the best that I could offer a guy. And
right.
so, I
Ooh,
lost my virginity to my best friend because we talked about everything. He was like
right,
one of my girls. We could talk about anything together. So I figured, well, if I give this part of myself to him, he's going to want to marry me. We can have our kids. We can live life together. That was misconception. We never talked about anything about a relationship prior to
right.
the experience. So I don't want people to go down that same hole as
Right.
thinking that, got to communicate first, and really just use your discernment, because even when you communicate, that person could be lying just to get some.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Right.
true. That's
Right.
true.
Yes.
And
I,
ultimately, no,
uh,
I was going to speak on that. Ultimately, it sounds old school, but take sex off the table
Mhm.
because that's the easy thing to do, right? Like you
yes.
say, as a man, like when you're pursuing, like it's the easy route to go to try to get sex.
Right.
I guess as a woman, and like you say, you felt like that was the best part or the best thing to give to a man.
Yeah.
When you take sex off the table, that's when intentions are exposed, and
right.
you can really see a person for a person. So
Yes.
True. I like that. Take sex off the table. What do you have left? I
right,
like that.
yeah,
Okay.
it's
Um.
old school though. It is old
Uh.
school. I
I
said it's
mean, it's
old school.
old school, but it's timeless. It's
Yeah,
truth.
it is. Yeah,
Right.
People be talking about all changing with the times. It's the same old tricks. It's just a new year, in my
right,
opinion.
Yes.
So,
right.
Agreed.
um, did you ever take out the time to sit back and look and see why your other relationships failed? Have y'all ever had the chance to think about that?
Hmm. Well, for me, I didn't have that many relationships. I think I had one serious relationship. Um, but I had situationships. So I don't necessarily think that, I know why those situationships fail because they were situationships. They
Yeah.
were not anything that were solid, that were built off of anything that was, you know, strong. And so I can't really say that they were failed relationships. They were situationships that exposed probably what I did not need in my life. So I'm happy that, those situationships showed me that that's probably not what you need. So I'm thankful for how it played out for me. I'm happy about those. I'm glad those situationships happened because they taught me a lot of lessons about what I wanted or what I would accept. So I'm happy how it worked out for me. That's all I'm gonna say with that.
Okay. Tom?
Yeah, so I only had two real relationships, 18 and 19. I mean, think about it. And a year back in them days was like forever, right? We made it to a
Right.
year. Um, one of the high school crush, I just knew back then my morals weren't intact. My perception, I was a mama's boy. I just wanted my way. So I felt like that I can have one girl and then just have side chicks. Like it made sense back then in my mind, right? Like, but you the main though. I'm taking you out. I, the other chicks don't get no play like that. You get everything, but they don't. It's just that way of thinking, that type of thing. And when it happened back, when she did it back,
Oh
I didn't
Lord.
like that at all.
Right.
You know, so so morally I wasn't in the right place. And I guess again the next relationship was to get over the past relationship. So it wasn't good fruits that came from that as well. We both were young, and we got engaged because we were in church, and you know how that works. You're in church, and people they tell you to get engaged because y'all shouldn't be fornicating, you know, that type of
Right.
thing.
Right.
And
Hmm.
we both foul, toxic, you know, just not in the right state of mind. So that's just how that went.
Right. Y'all gotta excuse me because my lips are dry and I am
It's okay.
trying.
Nah, do you think? Do you
It's
think?
Trying
okay.
to
I'm getting over a
smile. I'm
cold,
trying
so
to
I'm
hold
trying to
it in.
talk and breathe and all that at the same time.
I can't do it no
It's that,
more.
it's that season, so it's okay. I
Yeah.
understand.
Weather changing. That's see, I like her. She knows what I'm talking about. Okay. So you guys met in I would say in a unique way because I'm not
Mhm.
gonna
Yeah.
lie. The closest thing to online that I did before meeting my husband, of course, was y'all remember them chat lines?
Yep.
That's what I
I
did. I
remember.
called and then like you record a few seconds, like a
On the phone chat
voicemail, and
line?
huh?
You was on the phone chat line?
I was on the phone chat
Oh
lines.
my gosh,
And
I
then they
remember
had
those. Yeah.
party rooms too, where you all could
Yeah.
go in there and talk and have a good time. Then y'all could go to a private room. See, I didn't do Black Planet or anything
Oh
because
man, I got
that was a little
let's not
too
go there,
advanced for
please.
me.
Yeah.
Telling our age now.
So y'all met in the chat room?
No,
No, no.
no,
Okay, okay,
I'm just
okay.
saying that was the
Okay.
closest thing to like be to like social media that I had,
Oh
and
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
everybody I met off that
Yeah.
thing.
Oh man.
Nowadays they call it a catfish. It was not right. They'll tell me they look like
Man.
one thing. We meet, they look like somebody totally different.
I got like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or they were crazy. So I ain't gonna lie, I kind of gave up on meeting people online. But
Mm.
Yeah.
you guys have a unique story. So how did you two meet?
So she chose up on me on Twitter.
Oh boy.
Um,
We get asked this question all the time. And he
yeah.
gives the same answer
She
all the time.
chose up. I'm gonna tell you what happened. So I was, back then I was rapping. 2010. We young, man. 23, 24. Um, now I would say that we were strangers, but we had some really close mutual friends. So it wasn't like just out of the blue. But my goal, because back in the day, I was fellas, you know what I'm talking about, my man. We had to renew,
Right.
right? Like we had a list of women. They was getting
Right.
played out, so we had to renew, right? We had to, okay, let me get some more women. So what happened was I decided to follow all of my cousin's friends on Twitter. And this one particular lady I followed, young lady I followed, she inbox, was it an inbox? She inboxed me. Thanks for the follow. In my mind, that's how she said it, right? Thanks for the follow. So I
I
thought
Right.
give
she
that to everybody,
I
all
thought
my
I thought
followers.
she DM'd me, so I thought she was choosing. So I said, I don't know what I said. It was something slick, but I got her attention. But yeah.
Okay, that's his version of how we met and what I did. Anyway, it's pretty much similar. We did meet on Twitter. This was back in 2010. When Twitter before Instagram came out.
Oh
There
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Twitter.
yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
Facebook. Then well, let's back it up. It was MySpace, then it was Facebook, then Twitter came along. And that was when everyone used to be on Twitter in 2010, and it was like summer 2010. And of course, he followed me because we, like you said, we did have mutual people that we knew, like his cousin and one of my very closest friends, our friends. So I guess he started following all of his cousins' friends, of course. And yes, I probably did say thank you for the follow, but I did that to everyone that would follow me. Like mostly, I think guys, I would say, hey, thanks for the follow or whatever. And guys would kind of tell me thanks for the follow, like. But that was about it. And then I think our conversation probably started being a little bit more, intentional. Like we started talking a little bit more we chatted in our inboxes, and then it probably went from us chatting and then exchanging
Nope.
numbers. And
You gave me your pen.
Oh, that was when there was BlackBerry. When Blackberries were, oh God, he's really taking it back now. It was when we had Blackberries. Um, and I did give him my pin. And we exchanged a BlackBerry contact. Gosh, you were really taking it back. So I guess we started talking and chatting on BlackBerry. So, back then on BlackBerry, you could see when you get a message and things of that nature. Long story short, we did exchange information on Twitter, and it was just we talked on I think Twitter in our inboxes. Then we exchanged numbers, and then we were chatting with each other through text messages for about 2 or 3 weeks before we actually met in person,
Mm-hmm.
something of that nature.
Right.
And since that, we've been rock and rolling since then.
I said something slick, didn't I?
You probably did. Oh God, that's so long
But I had
ago.
that game, boy. Anyway,
That is so long ago.
I got no game now. I try,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much for answering those questions.
All right.
What made you two feel comfortable to let your guards down with one another?
Um, that's a good question. I think starting out, and even something that is still being practiced. Um, because that letting the guards down um is in reference to trusting somebody with your closest, deepest um heart, or like it's just something that's really intimate when you begin to let your guards down. So that's something that we're practicing every day, just being intimate enough to let each other know who we are, not who we betray, but who we are, because sometimes we put a wall and we put an exterior up every day. I mean, not every day, but just normally we do that.
You're saying
But
like overall as people, like sometimes that does happen, but in terms of in your relationship. Now let me say this: I did feel very when I first met him and I first went to meet him. I felt pretty safe. I don't know why, but it's very interesting now that I look back on it 13 years later. I went to his house and I met him. I wouldn't advise that now. Like I would never tell somebody to go on your first date to meet somebody at their house. But I just felt comfortable when I went in and when I walked into his house. Like he was just very. It was pretty much the same person for the most part that I got on the phone, but that comfortability was there.
oh,
And
that
I
that guard.
yeah, and
Oh,
like I let my guard down in that aspect. I
oh,
think that's
okay.
what she's kind of referring to, like when we first met each other. Um, and it's so interesting now that I look back on it. Like, man, like I felt pretty comfortable enough to to go to this person's house and actually meet them because of I don't know the I want to say the how he kind of like presented himself and what he gave me before I actually got there. No, I wouldn't advise that in 2023. That was happening in 2010, like I'm saying. It's just the personality of the person. And I felt okay because I've been to other places before and I've went to meet people before and I did not feel safe. And I've went to people's house before, but that was nothing but the grace of God that kept me when I went to, those other places. But it was just the authenticity of him when I got there. I was like, okay, I felt pretty comfortable, and I could like kind of let my guards down in that sense.
So
Yeah.
guards down in what way? Like, I guess in my
Maybe they could explain what more they're talking about in terms of letting your guards down.
Well,
like.
actually, you hit it right on the head, Chris Ann, because I don't know how it is to be a man. Now we do know that men sometimes get set up as well, unfortunately.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a
They
lot of that
think they're
now. Yeah.
they think they're getting ready to go to a female's house and do what they do, and then they get robbed, or maybe a female plays games with their mind and make them feel like they the one, and that's how you get a lot of broken men. But I know for women, we have to be safe because we're coming to your house or we're coming to your turf,
right,
and we don't know what you could have up your sleeves.
right,
And
Makes
then
sense.
the next part is the emotions that if we let our guards down with you and really open up in that way, you know, that you might just play with our feelings and stuff like that. So it comes a point when you have to get comfortable to share those
Uh,
parts
Right.
with you,
Like basically
with
like how
the other
you were
person.
saying at first, like, you know, like when I met my wife, I'm always the same. I'm just cool, laid back, mellow
mhm.
for the most part. And she basically kind of like let her guard down by just being relaxed and be like, you know, I feel like I could tell you everything, and that's how things started opening up. You know.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And I was like your wife. I felt so comfortable around him. And there were some dates that I did not feel comfortable. I felt like I had to keep looking over my shoulder just in the physical aspect. But before I could,
Right.
I just felt like I could really tell him things that he wouldn't throw up in my face later or just
Mhm.
just play the game, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I think with her, I think to some degree there was already a level of comfort because of not we had some type of familiarity because of the people we knew. So like the person she knew, I mean, like I can touch her, like, hey, what's up with your girl? If she was tripping, if she came to my house tripping, like, yo, I had this date with your girl, man. What's going on with her? So to some degree, I had that level of comfort. But to your point, like her and I, like she mentioned in the story before, her and I, we've been talking via text or pen or what you call that?
Blackberry.
BlackBerry IM. Y'all remember that?
Right.
She didn't give me her number, bro. She gave me her pen. Like she tried me with that one, but it's all good. I got it anyway. She we've been texting for about I think like a month, right? Before we actually met. So I really like my intentions. She might have felt comfortable because my intentions wasn't to sleep with her from jump. Like how I mentioned in the past,
Right.
because in my mind, I knew that okay, if I was asleep with her, I probably messed this up. You know what I mean? I knew that I probably wouldn't like her, but I really wanted to like her. So my intentions wasn't to sleep with her. My intentions was really to kind of get to know her and see her vibe and how her vibe was in person. So
Right.
she probably felt that. I wasn't trying to harm her or do anything to her physically, but just
Right.
trying to get to know her.
And that's what I was gonna ask you too. What was the first meetup, like the first date like? Was it like y'all were just meeting up to see if y'all felt comfortable with dating, or was it a date right off bat? Now I know you said, Chris, saying that there was some things going on, so you can feel free to share that.
Our first date. Okay, we met up. I went to his house, his apartment actually, and I met him, and then we actually went and got pizza. I actually even let him in my car. God, I was so
She let me drive the car.
I was like, real. I don't know what that was back then because now I would never like, just how I am. I guess I was just young and naive. I don't know, or like I said, comfortable. But
She was really feeling your boy.
yeah, but I guess, and I think I was so tired too. I had a long day at work. I had went and got my hair done, all kinds of things. And then I went and met him, and he was like, "Okay, well, I ordered us some pizza, but we got to go pick it up." And I was like, okay, I'm like, well, you can drive the car or whatever. He was paying, so I was fine with whatever. I did not mind. I was like, it was kind of it's always been like that for me. Like, I would meet you halfway if you're, taking care of certain things. I've always been that type of person. I think I compromise a lot with our marriage or whatever our relationship. And he was, like I said, he was paying. He was like, let's go do this. Let's go, pick it up. He had to go get some more money. And I was like, okay, that's cool, and I was willing to let him drive my car. I just felt that comfortableness with him. So I was like, okay, you can drive the car. I'm in the car or whatever, I could see how you were. But one thing that I would say with him, it was the maturity level that I got from, the conversation. I think that's what probably made me kind of like feel safe. It was just that maturity of the person. He's always been very mature in a lot of ways, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. Those were his that was one of the things about him that I noticed.
And you said that he was in the hood. it was
Oh
some
yeah,
weed,
yeah,
it
yeah.
was
I was in the hood.
some
Now I was in the
But
herbs.
hood.
you know what? It wasn't like hood to the point whereby it was like, oh my God, they're shooting in there. I gotta duck for cover and stuff like that. But it wasn't
Sometimes.
what,
Yeah.
it wasn't where I was from. Now it's way worse than it was back then. And then one thing too, he was in an area where he knew everybody around him. He was very, I guess, acquainted with the people around him, which eventually, I kind of got acquainted. I guess they got acquainted with me from seeing me coming in and things of that nature. So yeah, I mean, I didn't even know it was the hood until I was like, oh, I didn't even know this place was hood
Right.
until I
Don't
got.
feel bad, Tone, because one time when I went to go meet him and I saw some holes in the car on my way to his apartment, and I just thought it was a decal. No, no.
Nah, but see, that's the thing about being in the hood. When you know the people and what's going on, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. You
when you're
know the
not
people.
from
Yeah,
there and you go there. That's when the hood is not all that pretty.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
You
We
go,
we
you
had
That's
to.
true.
looking, you look so suspect when you don't know where you're going. You're trying to find his apartment. You're trying to make sure you get the right door, and you just, creeping into the place, and they looking at you like, who is this? And then
Right.
you
Who that
feel
is?
like,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
yes,
It's a little bit different when you're a female though. Like,
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
right.
We had a little community in our breezeway,
yeah,
Right.
so they looked out for it. Yeah, they knew. Hey, shout out with the great car here, man. That's how it was. All right, bro.
I'm
Appreciate
not, I wasn't gonna say nothing, but yeah, that's how it was. Like I knew when she was out there before
it.
she
Right. Yeah.
wow. See there, I had no idea.
Right.
Okay, so
got our own neighborhood watch.
yes, yeah, obviously. So how do you go about finding out if your potential partner or your date is a believer? Like, how does that come up?
Oh wow. You know what? I can't even remember how that came to being, but
Through I am Messenger.
was it through IM Messenger
That
where we
had to be
we
because
talked about that?
I
Like,
asked her all the qualifying questions through I am Messenger. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, he definitely was like talking about God, and and I was like, okay, I believed in the Lord. I was not. I don't want to say I wasn't saved, but I knew God and I knew of Him. But the way he was coming at me, I was like, okay, he a little bit deeper than I, thought that he would be. But he really had a relationship with the Lord, before my relationship got totally developed. Like the questions that he was asking me, I was a little bit taken aback, and it wasn't like in a bad way. More like it was more like astonished. Like, okay, why is he asking me these very deep personal questions? But it was, looking back now, I realized it was really good because he had faith in the Lord. He believed in God. That's who his was. That's who he followed. So it worked out in a lot of ways because it was a lot easier, so to speak, because hey, I was like, that's what I believed in. And that's what he believed in. So it was easier for us to kind of like move the relationship forward. And I remember I'm jumping a little bit ahead.
Hold
I
on. Hold
remember
on. You gotta pause there. That's a
what?
story. She taking us through a journey. We got it. Don't go that far.
Oh,
Don't go
okay,
there. Don't go
okay.
there.
I'm gonna
Don't
let
go
you,
there.
I'm gonna let
Yeah,
you do it. I'm
that's
gonna
a
let you
journey.
do it. I'm gonna let you
That's a
do it.
journey. I'm waiting on that question to hit.
Okay.
But yeah.
Uh-uh. And if you want to put that in at any time, just let me know.
I
Okay.
got you. I got you.
Okay. All right.
But
So
yeah, now remind you too. Now I wasn't. Although I always had a relationship, with the Lord, but I might have not always been in the right state. Like I was smoking, I was rolling up, smoking, selling weed, but I still had that part of me that always spoke. So it was inevitable that who I dated had to be a believer.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still cool because, like I say, it just shows the maturity of it, and that's why conversations, especially in relationships, is extremely important, and not
Oh
just idle chat like, "Oh, I got this," and you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to
yeah.
do this and that, but actually getting to know the other person.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
not talk about like the surface stuff all the time. You kind of have to dig a little bit deeper. I see what you're saying,
That stuff drained me anyway. So I think that was the problem. Like when I was dating back in the day, or situate whatever you know, like if the conversations, I think that's what got me interested in her. Like her depth of conversation was different from what I was used to, because it was always surface with, other chicks, and it was
Right.
just draining. I was like, you know what, whatever.
Yeah, we very similar in that aspect, because I was saying the same thing, because she asked me like, what is it that you like about me? And I was like, well, you're not shallow.
Right.
You're not
Yeah.
just worried about what I can get you and, all
Right.
these rings and all this, that material stuff. You actually got ambitious dreams and, goals.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was different.
Facts.
And then for me, he would actually listen to my dreams, my concerns. It wasn't always about, okay, let's go to the bedroom, or what can you do for me?
Right.
He really listened. We could talk for hours about anything. We didn't have to talk about sexual stuff. We could talk for hours about the sun if we wanted
Right.
to.
Right.
So
Right.
that was a big thing for me, I know. Because the other guys, somebody that considers you as playtime, for y'all that's listening, they don't really care about all that.
Nah.
They're there
Right.
for one, maybe two things, and it
Right.
ain't for your best interest. So,
Right.
Mhm.
Right. That's true. That's
That
true.
is true.
That's true.
That is
yeah.
true.
So for you guys, who proposed and how far into the dating before you guys got married?
All right. So this one I can tell the story. This one I
Okay.
can tell the story. All right. Dang. When did it happen? What, you was talking about the prophecy thing?
Well, I was kind of talking about more so like when we first kind of got together, I was like, I remember I was telling God, like, okay, Lord, if this person is not for me, that I'm okay with it, because I didn't know if we were, if this was the person for me. I was not like thinking about like something super long term, or it's for it to be serious. And I do remember when we made it official. I remember I was driving to work one day and I was like, okay, Lord, if he's not for me, it's okay. Because but he was doing everything right. It wasn't that he was doing anything wrong. It's just that I wasn't used to that. You see what I'm saying? I was not used to, so it was kind of like self-sabotaging the situation. Like I was kind of like, okay, but I said, Lord, if he's not for me, it's okay. I'm willing to let it go. I'm okay, I probably wasn't being totally honest with God, but and he knows that, But those were the things that I was saying. But fast forward, and because we got he proposed to me like 5 years after we got serious. Man, I remember when we hit year 4, I was like, okay, at this point, I'm not about to post anything on social media talking about happy anniversary, about anything. I was like, I'm done with that. Is it going to be a proposal or something like that? But my husband wanted to marry me within year 2. So,
She about to tell my side of the
okay,
story.
so I'm gonna let you still tell the story. He wanted to propose to me in year 2, but being honest with y'all, I don't think I was ready. I don't think neither one of us were ready in year 2. I think we both had situations and things that we had to work on within ourselves. I'm going to speak for me mostly. I definitely had to grow a lot more and grow, a little, and dig a little bit deeper. I think if we had got married or he had proposed to me in year 2, I probably would have said no. When I found out, when I got the inkling that he was, I was like, I don't think that we're ready for any kind of marriage within year 2. But that was just my feelings. I don't think that we had the maturity level to overcome some of the things that we eventually did overcome right through our relationship in year 2. But I'll let him continue for you.
So I'm gonna try to give you the short version. So I kind of already had a feeling that, when we first met, that she was the one. Like I didn't even want to have sex with her. I told y'all that. Like she different, but I wasn't trying to go there, because I'm like, man, we do, and you mess this up. I mean, because you know what I'm talking about, man.
Right.
Like when we go there and it's like, dang, I really liked her, but it's a wrap. Like it's just
Right.
not what it was. But anyway, I knew she was the one, but we was going through like our back and forth. This is in the beginning of we just talking, right? We're not even exclusive. And I gave her an ultimatum because I think God showed me in a dream, like, or something. I was laying on the sofa, he showed me something, and he just showed me that she was gonna be my wife. Like, I just knew it. But he also gave me a word to give to her. And I think when I gave her the word, I don't know, I think like the next day something happened, and I think she got burned. And I was like, dang. And that was my test to see, was it surface, because she's a pretty girl, but she got, burned in her
Yeah,
face.
my whole face was bad. My
Her,
face, my hands, everything.
so it was a test for me. Like, okay, is it surface for you, or because you believe that's the one, let's see. And I think that just made me want to be with her even more, because I knew, for one, it was somewhat a confirmation that she was mine. And, two, I saw within myself that I can love beyond what's
Right.
surface. So I think I gave her an ultimatum. And this is, hey, listen, either me or I'm out or whatever. And she was like, okay, okay, that's it. Okay. But yeah, she was right. Year two, I did want to propose. I think I talked to her dad or whatever. And he told me, what to do. And I don't know how she got an inkling that I wanted to propose, but she told me straight up, nah, I want to travel. I want to go. We got land and this, and she a college girl. She in a sorority. She got all this stuff coming up. She wasn't ready. And I'm like, man, so after that, I just started focusing on myself. And then year four, she was like, "What we doing? Are we doing?" And I'm like, But anyway,
Yeah, I agree. All those things were true. I was definitely young and a little bit, like I said, immature. He was a lot more mature than I was. I tell people that all the time. Um, and when we first got together, it was like a lot of when we first started talking, because we weren't serious right away. When you first start talking, you're like, are we gonna be together? We're not gonna be, but you're still kind of keeping your options open because you're like not sure if this person is the one for you. And then
Right.
eventually, when he came to me and he said he wanted to be exclusive, I was like, wow. And that was after I had gotten burned. And but when I got that situation, that accident happened to me. Um, that was that was a time for me because he really like showed up for me. And I was not really expecting that. I was like, it's okay, it's fine. Like, I don't even want you to look at me. I really did not want anybody to look at me. I didn't even want to look at myself. I remember looking in the mirror after that, and I'm like, okay, God, that's probably your way of telling me that things are, this outer is not what's important. It's what's
Right.
inside and what's deeper.
Yeah.
Um, Man, wow, y'all really taking me back on a journey to really kind of dig deep and think about all those things that happen with us because we've been through some things. And yeah, we got serious that December of 2010. That's when he asked me to be his girlfriend. And then by time December of 2015, he asked me to marry him. So, over those 5 years, we went through
a lot.
a lot of things. Wow, we really if I sit here and really sit back and try to go back over things in my mind, um,
It's a lot.
it's a lot.
Okay.
I can respect that. And the burn incident happened before marriage, right?
Oh
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah. It was right
Right.
before we even got exclusively together.
Yep.
Hmm.
So y'all that's listening, I'm telling y'all, it doesn't matter what you have going on. God has somebody for you. For them, one of the things was the burn. I'm pretty sure on her end, it could have been a lot of insecurities. She said she didn't even want to look at herself. Like she
I
had to
did
get
not.
comfortable with that new life for her. And for him, he could have just looked at the superficial and be like, nah, I'm out of here. And been very insecure, worrying about what other folks would think if he took her as his wife. But that didn't matter. So whether you have kids before marriage, Some people have diseases that they can't get to be cured. Some people
Right.
have disablements. Like there's always somebody that will love you for
Right.
whatever you have going on. For
Right.
me and my husband, for me, it was the sexual assault, situation. There was
Right.
a lot of things that had to take place. I didn't think he was going to want me because of that.
Right.
There's nightmares, there are insecurities, there's flashbacks, and a lot of times the other partner has to be patient with that person until they come to.
Right.
And then for you, it was
the alopecia. My hair was falling out. It's gonna look it now. Like it came back, thank the Lord. But
yeah,
I
his
was
hair
going
was
through
falling out.
stress. The hair
Right.
was falling out. I had patches in my head. That's for black dude, our hair is it. So
Hey
that
man,
that was the
what?
ultimate. Like yo.
Yeah,
I totally get that. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely,
I just don't
definitely.
want people to settle because I do see people, even with things such as like sickle cell or spinal bifida, and they get to the point to where they like, I'm just gonna settle for what I can get, and I just don't want people to feel like that. So
Right.
I'm glad that you're able to show that example that hey, you know, our relationship had this going on, but we still made it work.
That's true.
It's so much more than just that situation. So
Right.
I appreciate that really. Um,
I find it interesting that whenever you make a commitment, as soon as you make a commitment, it might not be for everybody, but it seems like it has to be tested.
right.
Oh yeah.
It always gets tested. You're like, I'm not gonna do this no more. They're like, all right, there it is, right in your face, and it's free. What? So
Right.
I
you're
agree.
gonna get tested whenever you make a commitment.
Hey
So
man, that's true.
Right.
That's
That's
definitely
true.
true.
Look, y'all, when I had stopped smoking weed, this was long, it was a long time ago. But when I stopped smoking weed, I was doing a little delivery job, and I go to deliver the pizza. As soon as I opened my door, man, it was probably about $20 worth in that bag, and I couldn't even find weed for free when I was smoking. But right when
Wow.
I said I'm done, here it go, right
Mm.
there. And I just went ahead and gave it to the dudes. And the next thing you know, this big guy come walking up, well, pulling up in this nice car. He was looking for it. I was like, oh Lord, let me get out of here. Cause I think but I'm like, why is it that when we try to do something right, here comes something, here comes the opposition, here comes a test.
Right.
And specifically with our relationship, with our marriage, because we was dating for and engaged for 4 years.
Right.
And it seemed like as soon as we said we gonna do it God's way,
that's when
the test was
Yeah.
amplified.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
right, like you
Yeah.
said,
That's
in
true.
order for it to be real, it has to be
tested.
like they say when you got gold. Before you get a gold, it's just a rock with a bunch of clumps in it. It's got to be tested through fire.
That's true.
You got to burn
That's
off all
true.
the impurities.
That's true.
So that's how we, as people, that's how we got to go through these things.
Right.
It's important to know that.
It ain't easy.
Amen.
It ain't
Amen.
easy.
That's true. Amen.
Now, celibacy.
Woo.
If you guys if you guys could tell us your experience with that and why you chose, like whose idea was that? Who told y'all to be celibate?
Man.
Oh wow.
We went
All
through
right.
that time too.
Right.
So we got okay. I think we was 6 years. We was actually engaged.
Right.
I think this was what 3 months before marriage
Right.
when we chose celibate. Now, remind you, we already had like 5, 6 years of practice,
Right.
but well, not celibacy, but
Right.
sex. But
Right.
but I believe the Lord was actually tapping on my heart to do this, and and it just really coming to mind right now, being that you asked. And then she said it like the next day. I think we should go, try to go without having sex, before marriage. And I was like,
No, the actual we were in a I'm not trying to cut you off, but we were actually in we were doing our premarital counseling because we started a class. And we started that class. It was 8 week or it was I think it was 10 weeks. It was a class, and they were kind of this class was so intense. It was so good. We had got
it was a boot camp, right?
it was like a boot camp class, but we had got directed to it from a friend. A couple. We have a couple friend, Jackie and Brandon Watlinson, and they directed us to go ahead to, to try this class out because they did it for their, that was their premarital counseling, one of the things. And this class was really, really good. The guy and his wife that were doing this class, they suggested, they had so many different parts to it. And that was one of the parts where they kind of like suggested that to, if you're arguing, down like that, to pull it off the table, to take it off the table so you could kind of see clearer, have better understanding, have better, communication. Just take sex away. Like how we were talking about, just take sex away to see what, if you will still choose that person regardless of that, because God forbid sometimes something were to happen where you couldn't really get in the physical with the person, and you take that physical away, what else would you have? And would it be able to would you be able to sustain it? I was like, okay, let's try to kind of wash the surface a little bit and take the physical part off of the table, and let's just focus on the emotional, the mental, the spiritual part of us, and getting ready for marriage, because marriage is so much more than just physicality. Don't get me wrong, sex and it's important in marriage. I'm not going to tell people
Big
that
important.
it is very, very, very important. But there are so many other things that do come with it. So yeah, we did the celibacy thing for like, we started like around February, and we got married at the end of May. So it was like 3 months of like, you know, of not doing that. I can't remember.
So I love the Curtises, but I don't remember none of that because I don't think I was even hearing what they was talking about when they started talking about celibacy. I wasn't even hearing it. It took. I do remember the Holy Spirit tapping me on my shoulder. I do remember the moment, and then she mentioned it. Like I think it was within a time span where I knew it was God, and I was like, all right, man.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good little stretch. I would recommend it to people.
Are y'all world changers?
Mm, no,
World changers?
no,
No, no,
Oh,
no.
okay, okay. Because
no.
y'all premarital counseling and boot camp, it sounds so similar. We went through the same exact thing. So
Really?
yeah,
We got a
Real
lot in
good.
common.
yeah, we have a lot in common.
Oh
So
wow, wow.
yeah,
See, that's how you know marriage is when you take marriage, the
Mhm.
institution of marriage serious, and you're willing to go through all that stuff, man.
Yeah,
But
Exactly. Because
yeah,
yeah,
I'm telling you, if you listening and if you want to experience your first, test of longevity and endurance, become celibate.
yeah.
Become celibate before
yeah,
you say I
People,
do, and watch
right,
and see.
yeah.
yeah,
Watch and
I
see.
mean, it people don't understand. I think because sex have us so twisted and screwed up that we don't understand that it's so much more that comes from not having sex. We
hmm
begin to see more of us,
hmm
internally,
Right.
and it is a clarity piece where you can see more of that person that you wanted to be with,
Yeah.
um, and beyond physical. So it's really important, man. Like to some of the younger guys, I even stress the point of trying not to have sex before marriage. It sounds old, but one thing we have to understand that when you do that, you're practicing discipline,
hmm
Right.
and we people don't understand that, because I know we have some Christians, they burning and ready to have sex, so they get married, right?
Right.
Just like that, but they don't understand that that discipline piece is more important in marriage too. You
Right.
know,
Right.
self control and discipline is more important in marriage, so it's better to practice that before marriage. And I'm not even talking about just like adultery and all that, but just discipline in general is
Yeah.
important.
hmm
Right.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah, I
Let me
agree.
grab the laptop real quick. Just one second.
No,
Whew. Okay. Got this. Okay. All right. Y'all still hear us?
yep,
Yes.
yep.
Okay. So, quick question. Now, our wedding day, now we finna shift a little bit and get into the marriage perspective.
Okay.
Wedding day it was wild for us, but we did it. We got it right when we said I do. But I mean, we lost the ring. Well, I lost my ring. So I had to pretend like I was putting the ring on his finger when like,
Yeah, my ring was invisible.
yeah, his ring was invisible until we got home. I'm literally putting on my wedding gown and people calling me for directions because they were ill prepared. Uh, my wedding planner had to take my phone from me and say, "Hey, the bride and the groom is here. That's the most important thing. There is so
Right.
much. You
Yeah.
had to get help with your tie, right?"
Right. Man, we had to get the suit. Tie wasn't working right. I had half my outfit, so it was
Wow.
a lot.
It was a lot.
And
Wow.
it was hot.
Wow.
Yeah, it was hot. And then people wanted pictures, a whole lot of pictures in the sun. Okay,
Right.
so let us know what y'all wedding day went like. Did it just go all the way perfect, or what was that day like?
Um, I want to say for me, I think that it was as perfect as close to perfect as it could get. The only thing that did not happen on my wedding day that I was a little bit about was the seating arrangement. But at that point, my wedding planner, she was like, at this point, people sit wherever they need to sit. We don't have time to worry about it. That was the least of our concern. Actually, I remember that morning, I got up and I was like, okay, God, it's today. This is the day. I remember I actually saw him from my window at the hotel. He was going to get his haircut, and I was like, I can see you. You can't see me though. Um, and my sister had came to my room because we had a few hotels blocked off. We got married in Alpharetta, Georgia, and we had a few rooms blocked off. And the one hotel we stayed in, it had, for the most part, everybody. I remember my sister came to my room. She was of course, my maid of honor, and we laid on the bed. And she was like, "Well, this, we're talking like this is it. It's today's the day. It's time." Everything had kind of like was in order because I planned my wedding for like 17 months, and then I handed it over to the wedding coordinator like a month before. And
Ooh.
she was someone that we were familiar with, and she does weddings. So it's kind of like I just gave her a list of everything that was done for the most part. And me, him, and her sat down and we went off. Actually, my husband was very involved in the wedding planning process. And I thank God for that. Like, because he had a little bit more time than I did in terms of freeness because of the type of job that he did. So everything kind of like came together in the most part, except like I said, I never got a chance to do the table seating because I ran out of time. But wedding day, everything went off as planned because that venue, they were so on point. And I I don't want to I'm not going to use race at all, but the people for that wedding venue, I guess they figure, well, y'all paying y'all money, so we're going to get it together. We're going to get it right. It was supposed to start at 6. It ended up starting at 6:30. That was probably the only thing. We got married at the end of May. So it was a little humid outside, it was a little bit warm. But that was pretty much, I think, about it. I don't think yeah, that was on my part for me. Like I don't, everything kind of came together pretty well for me.
Tone, any issues with your tie? Did you feel awkward standing there waiting for your bride to come down the aisle?
Did he say
Man,
drop the ring at one point?
wait, hold on. You tell my story.
Okay.
I didn't drop the ring.
Oh well.
No, everything for me, everything went perfect. I had a hangover waking up the next day. It was cool. Like I'm with all my boys, my brother-in-law, man. We cracking jokes, being guys or whatever. It was amazing. Um, I really didn't have a care in the world that day. My wife said I had cold feet. I just figured out what cold feet was. But I like everything was just perfect, and I was just ready. Now the dropping of the ring. So it wasn't us per se, but the photographer
Oh, okay.
was trying to get a picture of the ring on the keys of a piano. The rings dropped in between the keys of the piano,
Whoa.
but he didn't tell me until after they got it. I was wondering, it was a bunch of them over there by the piano doing something. I was like, "What's going on over there?" But me and my guys, we tripping out, so I'm not really paying them no attention. But he did tell me like, "Yo, bad news, we dropped the rings, but good news, we got the rings." So I'm like, "All right,
Wow.
cool, whatever." But standing up there, we made a bet if I was gonna cry, and I didn't cry, but my eyes was
Close.
red.
You got very close.
My
Mm,
eyes was red. But
mm.
I can hear my brother in the background. They clowning me, because my brother, the little brothers, whatever. They clowning me back there, like, man, look, he about to cry. I see it. But my eyes, they was really red. But nah, it was a beautiful day. Beautiful event.
Yeah, it turned out pretty well. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought it was
I
gonna
would
rain.
now, okay, one thing that didn't go my way, I didn't get to see my groom's cake. And it was red velvet for one, and it was a picture, it was a cake of a Bible with my favorite scripture, and I didn't get to see it. I just got a picture of it, and that's it.
What do you mean you didn't get to see it? Somebody ate it?
Everybody ate
I guess it
it
got cut
before
up and
I
everything. I
saw it.
mean,
By the time we did the cutting of the cake, that cake was gone.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was gone.
Hey, everybody had to partake of the word.
Yeah.
Oh my
eh,
gosh.
that's a perfect way to
Ooh.
think
Hey,
of it. I love
the
that.
hey, we just spreading the word
I
out here,
love
man.
that.
Right.
We
I'll
got
be,
the
I'll be
big
spreading the word all right.
we got the big cake, we got to do the big cake or whatever,
Yeah.
and that was about it. And then another thing too, I'm like, I was sitting there, I was like, man, I never saw our champagne flutes after that because they were personalized. I don't know where they disappeared to, but after the wedding is over, everybody's just
Somebody
trying
got
to keep it
those.
moving. And I'm like, at this point, it is what it is, it is
Right.
what
Wow.
it is.
Wow. A lot of times, and that's pretty interesting, y'all. Thank y'all. Like the rings falling into the piano. That's something I would have never thought of. And then the not getting a chance to see get a piece of your cake. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
But a lot of people want to know what's the big deal about marriage, like what changes about it. Can you guys shed some light on that?
What changes about marriage? Do you
Yeah,
mean
because they
like,
feel like if you're just together and you're in love, I mean, why do you have to say I do? If we are in love, why should we
no?
have to say vows?
Well, I mean, I'm a big believer in marriage, the institution, because at the end of the day, though we are one marriage, the institution of marriage is very important to our Father in heaven because it's a replica of our relationship with Jesus Christ.
Right.
That is the biggest reason from my perspective. So with that in mind, then we have to look at, you know, go to a micro level and just look at, okay, why is this so important? Because commitment is the big, like, if you
Mhm.
cannot commit and solidify your love, then what purpose is that love? You know, and I think most people, they will use that as an excuse to not fully commit. But if you
Mm-hmm.
love a person, you will fully commit, and make it or solidify that.
That's a good
Right.
I
way.
agree.
I like that perspective. For me, it's funny. People have a lot of times. A lot of people say, "Oh, did you ever dream about your wedding or what it would be like, or since you were a little girl?" And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I knew that I used to always say, "I'm gonna be married. I'm gonna have children, or I'm gonna have kids once I'm married." But I never was that girl that, "Oh my God, my wedding's gonna be like this, and I'm gonna have this kind of dress, and it's gonna be this big." Until I got proposed to, that's when I started kind of like honing in and thinking about the wedding part. Now let's get to the marriage part. I come from a background where marriage is very it's kind of like the thing that is important. My parents, they've been married. It'll be 34 years next year that they've been married. And
That's good.
it's so for me, it's just like that commitment of like marriage is a business, it's a partnership, it's so many different things. And now that I am married and I've been married for almost 7 years, you kind of really realize that, well, I'm speaking for me, the marriage, you mirror each other. There's a lot of things that people don't understand, that marriage is kind of a mirror, and it really is a molding and a testing, and it shapes a lot of you. And it's important for me because I want my children to see a healthy, loving, um, you know, marriage. Like, I want them to kind of see those things, that we could have fun, we could have happiness, we could have partnership, we could have, you know, teamwork, all those kind of things. And in marriage, in the entity and the institution of marriage, a lot of, nowadays it's a lot of, oh well, it's just a piece of paper. And I'm like, is it really just a piece of paper? Like, you know, we I feel like you still have to put time and effort and,
Yeah.
so much things into your marriage, in terms, even, counseling and working on, this is your most important unit structure. I'm talking about people who are married and people who want to get married, who have that
Right.
idea of marriage, of, what they want. Now, let me say this. I will also say that everybody do not aspire to marriage, and that's okay. I'm not speaking to those people. It's okay. I don't knock that or anything like that. I've come to the realization that everybody do not want to be married. Everybody do not want children, and that's okay to have a different, perspective, and that's not what you want. That's fine. But for the people who are interested in marriage, it's it's very much so, it's work, but it's good work. It's a lot of times, I'm just gonna be honest with you, sometimes you're like, "Oh my goodness," like, you have those days where you're like, "Okay, Lord, give me strength." But at the end of the day, when you have that person who is your person, your teammate, your partner, y'all are working towards one goal, and you have these things that you are trying to accomplish together, it makes it really worth it, especially if you both are on the same page and you aspire for the same things.
Yeah. I think I'm just last I look at it too that the office of a husband and the office of a wife are not just roles, but like I mentioned, they're offices, just like a president.
Mhm.
You have a person who becomes a president. Now, just like a husband, you have a person that becomes a husband. So when you are married, you are committing to that role or the office of being a husband or being a wife, and the office alone changes you if you know choose to go with the, I guess, the guidelines or
Right.
what comes along with it. It changes you because at the end of the day, you may not feel like it. Your wife may be getting on your nerves. It happens, man. But at the end of the day, you the husband. You know what I mean? Just because you're mad, you gonna stop doing what you're doing? No, you have an office. You have a responsibility, and that alone changes you.
And then one other thing too, I always think about, man, I stood in front of all these people, but most importantly, I stood in front of God and I said something to him about
Right.
what I am going to do, or what I want, or how I vow to be with this person and do the best in. But then I'm like not doing those things. Like, if I don't, I feel like to a certain extent, all these witnesses were there. These almost 200 people came, and then, okay, so now you're kind of like, were you lying to them? Were you
Most of them was your
lying?
people. Now, just remember that. Most of them were your people.
Right. But,
But anyway,
what was, were you lying to them? Were you trying to put on a front? Because
so more pressure on you.
Yeah.
a lot of times I always say people get married for the aesthetics. I'm like, you have to really kind of ask yourself, am I getting married because it's something that is ordained by God? Or you have to ask yourself, is this marriage ordained by God?
Mm.
A
Yeah.
lot of people get married and it's not necessarily that marriage. I don't know if it was ordained by God. You kind of have to really ask the Lord if this is who He wants you to marry, and if this is the, if this is what He wants for you, before you go up there and do all this show and bravado and put on a big front in front of people. a lot of things are done nowadays for the aesthetics, and marriage is so much more than aesthetics.
Man.
It's so much deeper. It's so much more. It's really deep. I cannot stress how much deeper, how deep it is. It's something that you don't play with, so to speak.
And speaking of that, like you guys, y'all have had premarital counseling, marital counseling, y'all got therapy, boot camp. How would you say one could find a person, because that's a big thing to trust somebody with when it comes to sitting in front of you all, going through the motions with y'all, and putting life into your marriage. Like, can you give some encouragement on how a couple should go about finding a therapist for their marriage?
I think my wife, I always wanted therapy, but my wife, she found a person. I don't know how you found them.
Well, when we did our first before we got married, we had two sets of counseling. We had the boot camp that we got recommended to from one of our married couple friends.
So it's a trust factor
So,
there.
it's
Okay.
always
Now,
referral and the
our
trust of people.
friends, the Watlingtons, they're big on marriage. They
Right.
have their own thing on marriage,
Right.
So in that regard, trusting them was a big key, to who they referred to us.
Yes.
Okay.
With that. And then we did our counseling with our pastors. Now, the thing is that I remember my husband used to always say, we're not getting married until we get counseling. So it's a matter of who am I getting these referrals from? Am I looking at them as good recommendations? What are they portraying in terms of their marriage for me to feel like they would give me good um referrals, good
Guidance.
recommendations, good advice, and who am I sitting down with to actually get these counseling or these sessions with. Let me look at their marriage and see what they're portraying. And I'm not saying that when you sit with these people, when you go to counseling or whatever, or with your pastor or whatever, that they're perfect. They are human beings just like anyone else, but
Yep.
just the morals and the values and how they are living and how they are representing Christ within
Right.
their marriage. And you got to also understand that, I want people to understand that even though you may be married for 5, 6, 10 years, if you need a tune up, it's okay to go see a therapist. That doesn't mean that your marriage is on the brink of a divorce or is on the verge of destruction. We all need, it's just like a checkup with a doctor. That don't mean anything is wrong with us. It
I
means
think
that you're just going for a checkup
I
yearly.
like therapists better. I
Right.
mean, I like counseling. Don't get me wrong, but therapists. So there's a certain okay in a Christian community, right? We talk about things from a high level view, from a biblical, more sometimes I'm gonna be straight up, it can be religious,
Mhm.
Right.
like straight up. But when you talk to a therapist, they get more in depth into the way you look at things,
Mhm.
versus telling, well, y'all need to just, work it out and have faith and trust God. That's cool. That's cool and all. But what if your mind don't work that way? What if you had this tainted perspective for so long that you don't know how to operate in the word or in scripture, concerning marriage? This is what therapy does. It gives you an additive perspective on how to view things. And especially, we've been blessed to have a therapist who is, by the way, a Christian.
Yes.
So, so she know what she be doing sometimes. She would say key things that would spark scriptures, and I'm like, I see what you're doing,
Mhm.
but all in all, she would, hey, look at it this way. Or do you think, she really make you look at it, things uh in a different light. So counseling, boot camp, all of that was really good. The Curtises were really because they was real and raw, especially Mr. Curtis. He did not play with us husbands. He was real and raw, and I respect him. I love that man to this day. And our pastor, they've been together what
34, 35 years too, I think.
yeah,
Mm.
close to 40 years. So it's good to get that high level thinking of, from that point of view of being married that long. But therapy, I love it.
And then with therapy, you go to some when you see someone who they have no connection to either one of you. That is where things, a lot of times people don't understand. Getting somebody that's a mediator that has no connection to either one of you.
Right.
Listen, sometimes it does really make you say, okay, but you can't really, try to. You don't have anyone to take your side. It's a no side game. It's like we are going to tackle things head on. That's how that those kind of people take care of things.
Mhm.
And thank you for distinguishing the two. So, but I'm gonna tell y'all listening, I know that you might be in love, but you definitely need to authorize someone to be on that journey with you,
No,
because
you,
things
you
can get tough. And a lot of times, like Chrisanne was saying, it's preventative care. There
Yeah.
could
right.
be
Yeah.
nothing that seems like a bump in the road right now, but let's sit you down with somebody that can help you in case that tries to rear its ugly head at you. You
Right.
can avoid that
Right.
further down the line. So
You
you
do need that.
definitely need somebody that's not biased, somebody that, I don't know. You'll know when you click with that person. You'll know.
Yes.
Right.
They
Oh
may
Right.
not
yeah.
always
Right.
tell you what you want to hear either, but out of love, you'll feel that they're coming from a good heart posture, you know?
Yes.
Coaches, let me shine light on coaches. You
Right.
definitely need
You do need coaches.
in your network.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach T and Coach G.
Yes.
You need
Right.
like real talk. You do need coaches because the thing is, I can go. Yeah, I can go to therapy every 2 weeks, right, and get a perspective. But who's gonna hold you accountable? You got people in your circle who's gonna hold you accountable. That's key. You can go to counseling, boot camp. Those things last periodically. But from my understanding, what you guys do like a coach, you're there to hold people accountable, and
Right.
people can actually go to and touch and feel. So that's really important.
I agree.
Yeah, giving them what we didn't have, because we didn't have any priors. We didn't have anybody. Once we met our premarital counselors, we found out how important that type of support is,
Hmm.
and we've learned a lot. It's been 18 years and counting. We literally learned from the ground up. And
Right.
like y'all, we still learning some things because there's
Yeah.
levels to it. There's levels to
Right.
this love.
Yes.
Yeah. Like
The
people underestimate that when they say life is a journey. That's literally what it
Man,
it
is.
is,
Every day you keep walking, you're gonna see something different.
and we
And
are
you gotta know how to get past it. Because
oh
somebody
yeah,
that's coming up behind you, they're gonna be like, hey, it's this fork in the road. Which way do I take?
right.
That's where we come in. Like, hey,
what they
you
call
go
it?
this way. I done went down that road before. You don't want to go that way. You
Right.
want to go this
Wow.
way.
Right.
So let me ask you guys a quick question. How long have y'all been married and how long have y'all been together again?
14 married, 18 altogether.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
See,
let me tell y'all, man, we didn't been through some stuff, like some serious
I would
strongholds,
imagine.
which
Mhm.
is why we created the book. But then it became more than just doing a book, like actually do something to help people, And so that's why we took on these roles. We didn't think we didn't know we were going to be doing this earlier on.
Right.
Everything was
Right.
just about us. But then it was just what God told us to do, and it made sense because we've been asked questions. Like you said, at one point in time, a year was like, "Oh, you with somebody for a year, y'all." So then the years started growing, and we get more questions. I remember a
Right. Right.
70-year-old woman asked how, and it just showed me that each one teach one.
Yeah.
Love
True.
has no age limits. Love has no boundaries. If somebody is seeming like they're doing good, you can learn from that. Even the
Right.
bad, you can learn what not to do.
That's
Right.
It's
true.
all
Agreed.
about how you look at it. But we're pro marriage because a lot of the times when people come to us wanting to leave, 99% of the time, what they're leaving for can be worked on.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
That's
just
true.
that they didn't catch it from the beginning, so they let it keep going.
Yeah.
So now it's like, you feel like you're at a wall, or like you're at a fork in the road, and you're like, I can't move. I feel like I'm between a rock and a hard place, but you can. A lot of the stuff is very simple. Now, there
Right.
are some cases that are not so simple, that
That's
Right.
are
true.
very deep. And we always tell people, if you are being physically abused,
Agreed.
you got
Right.
to do
Right.
what's best for you. You got to leave.
I
You
agree.
know,
I
That's
wanted
true.
to come. I wanted to come there, and I didn't want to kind of like. I don't want to seem like I'm trying to tell people, oh, that you should leave your marriage, but there are some um grounds that require people to
yes.
leave. I always say
Right.
abuse,
Big
and
facts.
abuse is not just physical. Sometimes it could be
Right.
emotional abuse and
Mhm.
mental abuse. But there are some areas that require, okay, you just, hey, just separate,
Yeah,
and let it go.
it's hard, especially and then if there's trauma done to a child,
Oh,
you'd be surprised at the stories that can come in front of us coaches, counselors, therapists, and you can't tell everybody stay together and work it out. It's
oh no,
not
Right.
right. That's
like
true.
that. But for the most part, you know, it can be worked out. And we
I
we
agree.
hate the D word. So anything we can
Yeah.
do to help keep a couple together but healthy,
Right.
we're for it. So
Right.
Y'all
Right.
say
yeah.
what we say the D word. Will
Right.
didn't even say it.
I know.
The D word.
It just does something to my insides, man. I
Yeah,
don't like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's not. They say it's not an easy thing, so it's like a grieving. It's a grieving process. It's like the death of something. So that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Right. It is. I look at it this way. God created marriage. He never created the D word.
Right. Yeah, that's
Mm,
true.
Yeah,
That's
mm.
true.
So
That's true.
I agree.
Yeah.
Tell you, man. But
Big,
today's
big
world
fact.
will tell you as soon as you get into it with your spouse, they'll say, just leave. They
Right.
don't understand. This is why you have to be careful about who you take advice from
Oh, that's a
Agreed.
big
within your
fact.
relationship. So
Hmm.
Mhm.
that's why we got this wonderful guest on today to come on and also share, because it's not just us saying this.
Right.
It's just, it is what it is. So
It
Right.
is.
again, we thank y'all for the perspective. We got a few more questions for you guys. What's one of the biggest lessons that marriage has taught you guys, and how do you continue to grow within the marriage?
Hmm. One of the biggest lessons that I'm gonna try to be really quick with all my answers because I know y'all have a few more questions. I think one of the biggest things that marriage has taught me is that it's not about me. It's not about self. It's definitely every decision that I do or things that whatever I do, I have to think about my partner. Like this, how it's going to affect him. Um and sometimes I know that I'm not the easiest to deal with, and I am still working on me, looking at me in the mirror, like where let me start with me first, because I'm in control of my issue. I'm in control of my actions. Like, let me focus on me and fixing me, not try to fix him. So yeah, but definitely it's not about me, because if I have if it's a if I could be better, then it will help the situation. So it's not about me. Or whatever I'm doing, I have to think about how it's affecting him.
Good. That's good.
right, that shows a high level of maturity as well,
Yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
that like with a lot of majority of problems is because selfishness. That's what I
Right.
look at it. You can't
Yeah.
see past yourself, where people have a hard time trying
Mm,
to see it
Point
from
the
the other
fingers.
person's perspective.
Right.
right. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I pretty much agree. Um, biggest lesson for me, I mean, she hit it. Nail on the head on the nail. I know that my relationship with Jesus, like, and I know not everybody believe. I get that, but in marriage, because he established the institution, he's my go-to.
Hold
Yeah.
on one second.
Mhm.
It's getting good. Hold on. I like that.
Let me turn the fan on.
It's probably like
Sorry about
Okay.
that.
no, you good, you good, you good. But so yeah, he's my go-to. Christ is my go-to.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, he revealed. You talk about you mentioned strongholds. This is why for me therapy is so important because he reveals a lot of things, past hurt that you know I haven't dealt with. Man, we tend sometimes we tend not to deal with hurt or our emotions, our feelings,
Right.
but just having that relationship with Christ, he revealed things that I need to visit or revisit in order to heal and be a better husband to my wife. Because if not, then I can be mean, aggressive, not like to the point where I'm ready to fight. No, we're not, but just you know how it is. You get aggravated quick, less
Right.
patient, stuff like that. But just having that relationship with Christ to help me be a better me so that I can be a better husband and a father as well. So
Right.
Gotcha.
Like how to deal with them pressures.
yeah, right, right, right.
Because as men, we do have a lot of responsibilities, and then on
Yeah.
top of what God requires of us, and then what society requires
Oh,
from us.
yes.
You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's a lot.
Mhm.
I get it.
Amen.
Mm.
Amen. I
It sound
felt
like
that.
you wanted to say something else.
No, 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 no. We just got to let that sit. What he just said.
Mm.
Yeah.
Lord. And that's why I love these conversations because as much as we try, as women, we could never fully understand you guys and what y'all go through. And
Mm,
vice versa, as women, y'all will never 100% understand what we go through. So it's good to have these conversations with open minds and listening, you know? So
yeah.
I respect that from you guys. Any advice on becoming parents after marriage? Some people say to wait a few years. What is your advice? How
We late. Man, we way behind. I feel like a teenager trying to answer this question.
Dang.
Because what? I'm gonna just share my age. I'm 36.
Okay.
No, am I 30? Yeah, I'm 36. I just had to think about it.
I feel
Just starting
bad.
at 30. Well, I was 35 when we had a mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just starting. That's a hard question to wait after marriage or to what you think? I'm gonna ask you because you had to deal with a bulk of all that.
God, there are days when I'm like, I should have had this baby earlier, and there are days when I'm like, okay, I had this baby at the right time that God had ordained for me to have this baby, and that's the one that I kind of go with. I'm like, okay, Lord, that's when you have for me to have him. I had him at 36, and a lot of times you get all these thoughts that, oh, you waited so old because we were married for almost what we were married 5 years before he came.
Hmm.
And he's our only baby. And of course, I would like for us to have more, but that's still up in the air. That's neither here nor there. We're not going to go there. Another topic for another time. But I always heard that children change the dynamic of your relationship and they test it. And I remember that I remember when we first got married, I was like, well, I'm not in no rush to have children. People were like, give yourself at least 2 years. I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, I need to make sure that I get this in place before I have him. I want to get the house. I want to get the perfect career, this. Mind you, none of that happened the way that I wanted it to happen. I was like, I did not want to be pregnant in the summertime. That didn't even happen the way that I ended up being pregnant right through the summer because I had him
Oh
in
my
August.
God.
So,
Slumber baby.
everything that I said that I wanted it to be, I mean, we went through the process of, buying a house when we were pregnant with him, and that whole situation fell through, and it just kind of like broke me for a second, and I just really had to kind of like trust God that He know what was best for us. I was like, okay, Lord, Romans 8:28, and I just kind of like kept on like it is what it is. I have to get this baby here and just keep on going. Um, but yeah, I believe that children do test and change the dynamics of your relationship. And sometimes, you do need to kind of like, hey, we need to kind of like reevaluate certain things because, now we have a whole human being, a little person that we are responsible for 24/7. And they are here and they're kind of like, you have to kind of make sure that you're planning. Good thing for us, we do have great like teamwork. We've always been told that we have really good teamwork. So I'm thankful for that. You know, we really have pretty decent partnership for the most part. Now, don't get me wrong, we do have moments where we kind of like bump heads and things of that. We bump heads a lot. I'm not saying we do not have the perfect marriage. I will not sit here on this platform and try to tell people that, you know, everything is hunky dory all the time. That's a lie. I don't subscribe to the idea where people try to come off and paint this narrative that marriage is a perfect entity or their marriage is a perfect entity. Well, not for us, you know. I'm just gonna be honest. The Robinsons don't have no perfect marriage. You know, it's a perfect God that keeps us going all the time.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I but it's been a journey, and we have kind of figured out how to kind of like bob and weave, and you know, we had ebbs and flows, and we figure out how to make it work because we made these commitments together, and we said that this is what we were going to do, and we made these commitments about parenting. So it's just to kind of like follow through with those commitments. So we had our fun, so to speak. I mean, we're still having fun, but we had our fun before the baby came. So it's a daily work in progress.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. So do we. 4 years of fun. And like you said, it's still fun. It's just kids make you move a little differently. Y'all
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I have one last question, but I feel it in my spirit to ask you something different as we close. So I don't know if you remember, Tone, but I said it was something that I saw you say in one of your other interviews that I was going to ask you about.
Okay.
And then Chrisanne, you kind of mentioned a little bit of that too. You just said that you guys were trying to do things perfect for the little baby, as we all try to do, want to have
Right.
it all our ducks in a row, so to speak.
Yeah,
Buying
good
the
luck with
house,
that.
I know, right? Good luck with that. Buying the house fell through at that particular moment. For you, Tone, you said that I believe it was when you first got married, you were trying to make things shake. You was trying to make money.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
you remember
anxiety
that?
piece. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, so that can be a thing because sometimes, I never forget it. One of my older pastors from when I was younger, he said the worst thing he could have done was waited until retirement age to live life. He
Mm,
worked 3 jobs. He worked for General Motors and all these things to support their growing family. And he worked so hard to where he said, well, when I retire, that's when we're going to travel and see the world. But upon retirement, diabetes, eyesight loss,
wow.
a lot of different health things. So he said, if I could tell you young people something, don't wait till you're my age to say you're going to have a good time.
Right.
However, we know Georgia Power and them, they don't want to hear about your dreams. They don't care about your ambitions. You got to
Right.
pay up. But you was trying to make things shake, and that just hit me. You were trying to get the house, but it didn't happen at that time. So
Right.
what could you tell a married couple that, I mean, they, as far as the patience, and the resting in God, they want something to happen, but there's a process. What would you tell them?
That is a practice in itself. Uh, because in one regard, it requires faith. You have to believe that first all things work together for good for those who love the Lord. You have to believe that. That requires faith. So even in the midst of your trials or trying to make it happen or trying to do this, you have to understand that for one, you are in the season that you're in because you're in a pruning process or a learning process. So you have to understand that, okay, you have to understand that your provision is already in your season. You have to understand that, and that comes with faith too. But oftentimes we overlook the provision because we're looking at the things that we're lacking. We're not looking at what we already have.
Mm.
Right.
And if we're constantly looking at the things that we're lacking, it causes anxiety. And then it causes you to want to make it happen even more, which causes anxiety, which causes you want to make it happen. So it's this roller coaster that you're going down because you're missing out on the opportunities that are right in front of your face. Um, you're missing out on the opportunity to see your wife for who she is. You're missing out on the opportunity to see how God is providing for you every day. But yes, He know you have bills, but and this is what I believe what worship is all about. I remember back in the day I used to just skip worship and just go and hear the sermon. Like I don't need none of that. But when you put God at the top of mind, then you will begin to see His provisions in your daily life versus looking at what you don't have. Then you'll begin to appreciate your spouse and what they do versus looking at what they don't do. So it's so many things um that will be revealed if you keep God at the top of mind, so you don't have to fall off into this rut of anxiety and exhaustion and being depleted because you're feeling like you don't have or you're feeling like you lack. So I hope that's what you were talking about. I do remember that conversation that I had, but pretty much,
Absolutely.
and it's a practice every day because flesh, I'm gonna tell you, flesh wants to do its own thing and go its own way.
Right.
Because what I'm saying is spirit, it's all spiritual. So it is an everyday practice. It's something that you have to really keep on the top of mind every day. Fall off into your worship music when you first wake up. Start your day on that note,
Right.
praising God. Opening your eyes to gratitude. So if that's the message, that's what it is. Having gratitude, seeing the things that you wouldn't normally see.
Good.
Right.
Good stuff. Okay, you guys, just thank y'all so much for coming through. Um, we want to give you guys a scenario because we realize that every guest, as we talked about in pre-interview, every guest, every listener, goes through a different experience. And so
Mhm.
we want to give you the opportunity to speak directly into a person's life.
Okay.
With suicide and depression being up because of the different pressures of life, we want to give you a chance to be heard in this aspect. And you both could answer this. But you basically have a male and a young male and young female that are both um, they both been hurt by previous partners. They are afraid to let their guards down with the wrong person. So they keep thinking that, I might do it again. I might move too fast with this person or that person. They've never seen what healthy relationships look like
Yeah.
all of their lives. And all they have to go by is what social media portrays is healthy. Where should they start, in your opinion, as it pertains to finding love and trusting again?
Um, where should they go as it pertains to finding love and trusting again? I think that they probably should start with consulting with God on whether it is okay, or if they are in the right mental space to move forward. That means testing themselves to see if they have grown past that hurt, so that they're not um still hurt, or they won't bleed on that person. That it's so important to understand that hurt people, and if we don't heal the things that hurt us and heal those wounds first, that sometimes you're moving on out of anxiety, out of like the flesh, out of oh well, you know I don't know, just rushing. And sometimes it's so important that we kind of take stock of us, kind of examine ourselves. Am I ready for a relationship? Is this the time? Have I healed? Is it time for me to go to move on yet? And just kind of going through things to see if it makes sense. Um, that's just what I think. Or I think that a lot of times people are just so caught up in the what they see. They're like, oh
Yeah.
well, this person is moving on social media. This person is living the life, all that. all these things that we see on social media is smoke and mirrors. People only post what they want you to see. People are not giving you every single thing that's going on behind the scenes. I could post a beautiful picture of me, my husband, and my child, and me and my husband may have had an argument 2 hours ago, or we may not be in the right space or whatever at the moment. It's
But I
a
still love you,
front,
girl.
but it's like I still love that person. I still love my husband. People don't post everything. So, a lot of times, I just want people to understand, don't get caught up in face value things. Like, dig a little bit deeper, take a little bit more time, try to go a little, more like deep down, dig deep for me to see first. Ask the questions. Go to your creator, or go to whomever you go to first. You know, that's just my thought.
Okay, Tone, you got something you want to put on there for the
I'm gonna
young
be
man?
straight up because most of us put marital rules with relationships.
Mhm.
It don't work that way. Um, when we talk about hurt people, more than likely, I'm gonna just go out here on the edge, and I ain't gonna speak for a female, but I'm gonna say more than likely she put her trust in a man who wasn't committed, right? But she wasn't obligated to put her trust in a man who wasn't committed. Or a guy might have put his trust in a woman who wasn't committed. She wasn't obligated, or he wasn't obligated to put his trust in her. Neither one was obligated because neither one was committed. Commitment comes from marriage. Now, going to dating, what happened to the times where we used to what they call court, and now sex wasn't even on the table. When we talk about courting, when you're courting a person, it is what it sounds like. It's courting. Now, old people from the South, they used to say coat. I didn't know what that was, but I found out later in life it was court. When you're courting somebody, you're testing them. You're seeing if they have the true morals or values of commitment. You know what I mean? So you're looking for that. If they don't, why would you give that person your commitment? You know, learn from the past hurt. Of course, like what my wife said, you still need to do some healing, and and only God can heal. You continue your relationship with Christ if you have one. If you don't have one, I submit to you. This is the time and the opportunity to get to know Him, but you submit yourself to Christ so you can heal. But at the end of the day, you don't owe nobody your commitment until you don't owe no man. I'm gonna say that your commitment until they ready to say,
Or woman.
or woman, until they ready to say I do. But you're looking for the values, that you're looking for the values of commitment in are they dedicated to waking up, going to a job every morning? Let's start there. Are they dedicated to their family? Like, let's look at those. We have to look at these values, these core values. And going back to examples, now thank God for social media, because there are some good people like Coach T and Coach G.
Right.
And these are the people you need in your circle. People who are serious about marriage, and people who are serious about not only being an expert but an enthusiast who's looking for the right answers as well. These are the people you want in your circle. So not having an example is not an excuse, because there are people out here who's willing to help. You see what I'm saying? So I would say that. Um, look for the values in a person before you commit. Um, Continue to walk with Christ and look for good people.
Yeah, I like that.
Test the spirit by the spirit, but that's a whole nother topic.
Say that again.
Test the spirit by the
That's
spirit.
the spirit by the spirit. Absolutely. I wish I had known that when I was 18. I've learned a lot of things, like gray hair doesn't even equal wisdom. So be careful who you get your wisdom from.
Agree.
Right.
And don't look for the coat 45. Look for the courting if you're
Yeah,
going to
court,
look at all.
not the coat. There you go. Court.
Not the
Yeah.
coat. All right, y'all. We have this last section of our interview called the lightning round. Yeah, you guys have a little over a minute on the clock because it's two of you. You just want to answer these questions, no right or wrong. First thing that comes to your mind. Are you guys
Okay.
ready?
Ready?
Yes.
Mm.
Texting or talking?
Talking.
Talking.
You?
Talking.
Both of you talking. Okay.
Mhm.
Favorite date so far?
Our favorite date
Oh
so far?
man. God. We had
Um,
so many.
I don't know.
I don't know.
How we had so many. How can I just pick one out of our favorite dates so far?
I can't that
Okay, maybe I want to say, well, like when we flew to Colorado. I don't know. Is that a date or is that considered a? I feel
uh
like we've had so many. I can't pick one. I'm sorry, y'all.
we got a
I'm
lot.
sorry. We have a lot.
So the
Okay.
answer there is still date. Continue to date in marriage. But go ahead.
Continue
Right.
dating.
True, true. A song that puts you in a romantic mood.
I got so many, but I'm gonna say "Love" by Music Soul Child. That's one of them, or "Here and Now" by Luther Vandross. Like that's "Here and Now."
Okay, you tone.
Brian McKnight.
Those are some
Um
good ones.
um I don't know the name of that song.
Still the one. I
No,
think that's the one.
I'm the man you need me to be or something like that.
Yeah, it's the one that you walk
Yeah.
down the aisle to. I
That's the
think
one
that's
I
the.
walked down the aisle to. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
talking about that one. It's
Yeah.
like a drink. Okay, I got
Well,
you.
no,
I
no,
got
is
you.
that
No,
it?
it's I know the song though. It's called "Still the One." He's still the one for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
La,
yeah,
la,
yeah.
la, 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 la,
I
la,
know
la.
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, a vacay that you long for.
Man,
Somewhere out the country.
we gotta
Like
go out of the country. Y'all know she
um,
from Guyana. She didn't mention that.
I'm
Oh,
from a whole other country,
She
but
from South America.
yeah.
oh, I didn't know
And she
that.
always had a passport. You know, I'm from Atlanta, so we wait. We don't get our passport until we like, you know. Anyway,
Anywhere, anywhere that has water for me. I love beaches, and I don't know how to swim, but I love water.
but
Well,
yeah,
since you're from there, I'm kind of curious to know who's the better chef, you or him?
I personally think my husband is a better cook than I am.
Oh.
nah, she the better cook. She trying to get me to cook tonight. That's what it is.
No, I'm not. Listen, but I really think he just has more like these different techniques that I'm like, ooh, what do you
Nah,
know
she
about
fine.
that?
She fine with it. She fine with it. I'm gonna say her.
How many children do you want going forward?
I would like three, so two more, but I don't know.
I mean, I wanted whatever she wanted, but when I had my son, I just fell in love, and it was like, dang, man, like it's tough to say now that I want more because I love my son so much, but I'm I'm just enjoying him.
Yeah.
So I do want more kids, but I'm really enjoying him though.
Oh, okay.
I
What
say
you
I,
say, Chris? Saying two sets of twins? Is
No,
that
no,
what you
no, not
said?
two sets of twins, baby. I don't want no doubles. No.
remind you our age now.
Woo. I don't want no doubles at the same time. God knows I cannot handle it one side.
I know it's a lot of work. A scripture that helps to keep your marriage tight.
Man,
Um,
it's
a
low.
scripture that help keeps my marriage tight. Proverbs, is it Proverbs 3, 5, and 6? Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on
No,
your
no,
own
understand.
understanding, but in all your
Yes.
ways acknowledge him and he will
Direct
direct
your
your
path.
path. That's one of my favorite scriptures, and I think that's something that I kind of use a lot. That Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding.
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll with that one. Cause
Okay.
Jesus, he be on my neck sometime, man. He give me like 16 at a time. Like,
Yeah.
hey man. But anyway, yeah.
What is the best piece of relationship advice you've received so far?
Best piece of relationship advice I've received so far.
You
Um,
gotta be the courteous, right?
gosh, the best piece of relationship advice we've received so far is that we are a great team, that they believe that we always figure it out. We were told that we always figure it out. That if we were pushed off of a mountain, that we would figure out how to land like together before we even get to the bottom. I was told that, and I use that all the time, like with everything. Like we always figure it out together. So yeah, yeah. Somebody told us that if we were pushed off a mountain, we would figure out how to land. I don't know.
So, an older gentleman told me a long time ago that she's always right.
Mm.
Yeah.
I know not many people will agree. I didn't agree either because I was combative with him. What you mean? Like she always right. But I think the more I get into like marriage, it's a sarcastic quote. It's not
Yes.
saying that she's always right, but to me, it speaks to the degree of trying to correct her. Sometimes you just have to let the Lord do that. Like,
Right.
just pray and keep it moving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm struggling with that, trust me.
Yeah.
But it always comes up, pray and keep it moving.
All right. I got that same advice too. As a matter of fact, it was on our wedding day at the reception. There's one of the chefs there. He said we was taking tequila shots. He said, "Now you know." He said two things. One, no matter what's going on, you take care of home first. And
Yep.
two, she's always right, even if she's not. Just let
Right.
her be right.
Yep.
I think that
And
goes with
it's
that saying happy wife, happy life type of thing. But I always chuckle when I hear that. But
Me too.
we keep learning as a better by and by, don't we?
Yeah.
have y'all seen y'allself mad? Like what that does to the house?
Hey, and then God had the nerve to put it in the Bible about it's better to be on the what is it on
I
the
just read
corner.
that in my journal. Yeah,
Yes.
on the roof than the
Yes, I'd be in the house with a quarrelsome woman.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do we
Yeah.
really get that angry?
I mean,
Look at y'all, y'all.
hey, Coach G, we gonna talk later, man.
Well, ring ding a ding 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 a ding ding. We're done.